Are you looking at waging the war on weeds? Well, now is the perfect time to do so. We've had some decent rain, the ground's really soft, which means pulling weeds can be relatively simple. But if we let things go, we can end up with all sorts of problems. As we can see here, this ornamental agapanthus, we've mentioned in a previous post, it's gone to seed. So we really need to get in there now and remove these seed heads before they become problematic and start to germinate. Another example of a weed that's gone too far down here is the cat's ear. And these are like a dandelion. There's a difference between the two. The cat's ear has a branched stem. A dandelion will have a solitary stem. Both have yellow daisy-like flowers. Once they start to seed, you'll get these seed heads, which kids love to grab and blow on them to disperse the seed. So the problem with that, they will end up in your lawn, and you'll end up with broadleaf weeds taking over your lawn, particularly if you don't look after it. There are other weed problems too, though, that we need to take notice of in our gardens, and many of them can be really an issue if you let them get away. This fellow here, it's an annual weed known as fleabane or Canadian fleabane. These flower heads on here are just getting ready to set seed. This is a fairly long plant. It grows to about 1 metre tall. It snapped off when I tried to pull it out of the ground. The problem with that is that it can regenerate from that snap root system. So we need to get in early to control these. Remember, 1 year seeding, 7 years weeding. Now with this one, it can produce up to 30,000 seeds on one plant. So there's a good reason why you want to get rid of them before they get to this stage. It's the same with any type of weed. When we look at the cat's ear I mentioned earlier, this one has a really strong taproot system, so it will get hold in your lawn and continue to grow. And being what we refer to as a flatweed, you can see here in this lawn, there's a number of flatweeds that are starting to come through. Plantain is another one, it's a little bit further up, but all of these flatweeds can be controlled by managing the height of your lawn. If you keep your lawn sort of a little bit higher than what we have here, we want to go around 35 to 50 millimetres. These flat weeds can't compete with the lawn. You can get selective herbicides that you can spray across your lawn and control those weeds. If you're going to use a broadleaf selective herbicide on your buffalo lawn, make sure you select the right one. Not all herbicides are suitable for use on buffalo, so check with your nursery and ask the horticulturist if you're in doubt. That's probably the last resort. You could also, if you have the time on your hands, is just use a nice sharp horry in this instance, or a knife, and you can go around and simply get in and remove those broadleaf weeds by hand. Out comes the whole weed. No longer a problem, and great for the environment, great for your zen too if you want to spend some time in the garden. The other ones that we have, annual weeds again, most of you probably know this. This one's known as either pitchforks, farmer's friend, or hitchhiker. It's been allowed to grow and set seed. Those seeds will stick to your socks, your pants, your dress, whatever you're wearing in the garden, and then when you move somewhere else, you see them on there, so you start to pick them off and you're dispersing them. Weeds are very clever about how they disperse in our environment, and they're using us to spread their seed. In the garden bed here, we have a multitude of different types of weeds. Ornamental plants like the agapanthus can get away on you and become problematic. This is another example of an ornamental plant that's gone a little bit rogue. This one is Dietes. There are two types, Dietes bicolor and Dietes vegeta. One has a white flower, the other one has a yellow flower, but they all do much the same thing. They're in the Iridaceae family, so they're closely related to irises. They produce this clumping grass-like foliage, which is ideal in a utility landscape, low maintenance, but you do need to go in and deadhead them or remove these seed heads before they seed, or you'll end up with what we have here, all of these little germinants in the garden coming up between the mulch, but they pull out very easily, as you can see. Quite simple to remove them by hand, multiple plants. So when we're looking at trying to manage weeds in our garden, the trick is to get in early. Don't allow them to get to the point where they start to flower. You need to pick them really quickly as soon as they start to germinate. I refer to them as threads. When they first just germinated, you can then go in and hand remove them, or if you wanted to, you could go with a chemical option. And we have a number of them. you could use a non-selective herbicide, the glyphosate 360. Be careful because it will, if it gets onto any other plant in the garden, it will kill it. The other option you have, which is a little bit more softer, is a non-ionic acid. So this one is produced from pelargonium, it's pelargonic acid, and it actually desiccates the plant. So it doesn't translocate through the entire plant like our glyphosate. This one desiccates the foliage and burns the plant off. Again, you need to target the individual weeds. And of course, if you don't want to do any mixing, you can get yourself a trigger pack spray. There's a multitude of different types. This one is a path weeder, and when you have weeds in paths, such as we have here on this drainage area, we could spray this particular chemical on those weeds. It will kill the weeds, and there's an active constituent in here that is a pre-emergent herbicide. So it will persist between the pavers or between the gaps in your concrete, wherever it might be, and that will stop weeds from germinating over a 12-month period. So there's lots of options out there, but the key is to start weeding now. Once you're done weeding, the next thing to do is prevent those weeds from coming up in the first place. That's where you need to get your mulch onto the ground where you've weeded. First thing to do when you're mulching is make sure that you don't mulch a dry soil. So weed the ground first, irrigate, and then apply your mulch. We could look at sheet mulching by putting down some cardboard or newspaper about 8 sheets thick and then putting your decorative mulch across the top. That's going to provide a barrier between the soil surface and the mulch that stops the weeds from germinating if there are any seeds left behind. A great way to limit your time in the garden having to do your weeding. So the key is to get out there regularly, observe what's happening, remove those weeds as they're threads. Once you've done that, get the mulch down and Bob's your uncle. Or maybe he's not.